Cynthia McFadden.
We turn now to politics and a look at one man who plays a key role in Hillary Clinton's powerhouse campaign. Senator Clinton remains way out in front of her fellow Democrats. In the latest ABC News poll, she's 15 points ahead of her nearest competitor, Barack Obama. But she didn't get there alone. The Clintons, first Bill, now Hillary, have a not-so-secret weapon in a man who knows how to figure out what Americans are thinking and how they'll vote.
It's 11 p.m. and you know where your kids are, at home.
Remember the soccer mom? In 1996, she was born or discovered, and these commercials were made to address her concerns, all wrapped around the message that Bill Clinton cared. Soccer moms put him back in the White House. Thanks to this man, pollster Mark Penn, who identified them and figured out how important they were. You've been called the most important man in Washington that no one had ever heard of.
I hope to keep that up, although I'm losing a little ground on that one.
Indeed, the first person Bill Clinton embraced as he walked off stage at the convention was Mark Penn. But that was a rare public moment. Anonymity has been part of the job. Politicians often go to great lengths to act as if they couldn't care less about polls.
If I tried to fine-tune my messages based upon polls, I think I'd be pretty ineffective.
Polls don't mean anything to me now.
What people like me have to do is, one, be governed by principle and not by polls.
They may claim not to rely on polls and pollsters, but they all have them. Penn has been a central force, second, many believe, only to Bill Clinton himself, in Mrs. Clinton's political ascent. His official title is chief strategist. Unofficially, sort of the chatter that says, you are Hillary Clinton's Karl Rove, you say back.
I say, I'm Hillary Clinton's Mark Penn. I'm no Karl Rove.
Penn let us attend a strategy meeting last week. The question on the table was a sensitive one. How would Senator Clinton fare as a national candidate against various Republican opponents? Karl Rove has famously suggested she is unelectable. Not so, says Penn.
In Florida, for instance, we're ahead by 2. Next closest candidate is behind by 3.
14 months away from the election, Penn is already counting the blue states.
So the dark blue states are all the Kerry states, and then these are the states where we're leading right now against Giuliani that we would pick up: New Mexico, Iowa, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, and Florida.
So she's ahead now with 337 electoral votes, if you look at the map?
Exactly.
Versus Giuliani.
Penn's numbers have Clinton winning handily. No surprise, since he is, of course, mindful that we are in the room. In fact, according to the latest Gallup poll, Senator Clinton is running neck and neck against the Republican frontrunners, not ahead. But Penn's talent lies in mining the numbers, finding the votes to ensure his projections. Once again, in this election, he says, women will decide the election.
But then if you project out what would happen if just 10% more women came, that would really give her almost all the major talked about swing states. Hey, it's Mark.
Don't let his soft-spoken style fool you. Fiercely loyal, he's also known as having little patience with those who won't follow his advice.
I stand here tonight as my own man.
Al Gore and Penn had a major blow-up in 2000 when Gore refused to follow his advice and distanced himself from Bill Clinton. Were you right? If he'd followed your path, would he now be sitting in the White House?
Well, we'll never know. There's so many different variables.
In your heart of hearts, what do you think?
Well, I think that had he embraced the policies of President Clinton and embraced President Clinton, who really had been with him so many years, well, I think it might have made the 1% difference.
And 1% would have made Al Gore president. The 1% difference is at the heart of his new book, Microtrends, in which he identifies 75 micro groups inside America, like old new dads. Penn is one of those himself, and second home buyers.
The old view of America was we had a melting pot. It was all about so many different cultures coming together into one. And I think now we're seeing more of an itching of America.
Here's one that really surprised me, Protestant Hispanics.
I think everybody knows that the greatest influx of Catholic and Hispanics is from Mexico. But what people don't realize is that the greatest influx of new Protestants is also from Mexico. It turned out that those are precisely the voters who swung to Bush in the last election.
There are 18 million eligible Hispanic voters in this country. 9 million of them voted in the last election. So imagine what can happen if those other 9 million people get activated.
Absolutely.
Don't be surprised to see Mrs. Clinton going after their vote. As you know, something that has dogged Mrs. Clinton throughout has been the idea that she doesn't have convictions. She takes positions because they're expedient, led by people like you.
Well, Senator Clinton is a strong and independent voice. She's got 35 years of fighting for causes that she believes in, educational reform, health care reform.
But what about Senator Clinton's evolving position on the war in Iraq? So it isn't that Mark Penn is out there figuring out what's going to sell, putting his thumb in the wind, saying, aha, today a position against the war is working. Earlier it wouldn't have worked as well.
Absolutely not. I think what you're seeing is a senator making her own judgments about what she believes and explaining that through her speeches, through her appearances, and in her debates.
If Senator Clinton is elected president, will you take a job in the West Wing?
Well, we take one step at a time, and right now, the first step is just to win the primary.
Some people would say that being the front runner is the hardest spot to be in, especially in such a long campaign.
Well, you never get through one of these primary campaigns without a near-death experience. It's never happened.
So hers is yet to come.
Yet to come. There have been nothing but sunny days, but we take nothing for granted.
That prediction was free, no poll required. As for Penn's new Microtrends book, it came out today. When we come back, the art of flipping, not hamburgers, but houses.
ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Navy.